I'm on the road again to hunt down some Skylanders. Thankfully, no inclement weather to worry about this time. My first stop is at Disc Replay in Rockford, Illinois. They have a different pricing structure than other Disc Replay stores I've been to, but I was still able to find some deals, including the best figure I've ever found at a used game store. The stuff I found at the store is just epic. I don't use that word lightly, but let's check it out. Started off all right with a Ninjini. Got a Power Punch Pet Vac, a few Superchargers in Frightful Fiesta, and Bone Bash Roller Brawl. It's always nice to find Double Trouble 1.5. There's a Light Core Grim Creeper, a few Trap Masters, such as Tough Luck, Gusto, and Nitro Head Rush. There was even an Imaginator in Ambush. And I did find Skylanders Imaginators for the Xbox One for just $15. But then I found a Rocky Roll, and that's pretty good, but that's not the best of it. I found one more piece buried in the bin of Skylanders. I found a Patina Shield Striker, just loose in the bin of Skylanders. I couldn't believe it. There's nothing wrong with this thing. And what's more, I need this one for my collection. So, if you watch my recent video about how many figures I still need, this brings my total down to 31. Everything from this shop I was able to pick up for $52.09. I'm honestly not sure I can ever beat that haul. It might just be time to go home and call it quits. But no, I can't do that. I've got a big pickup to make in Ohio, so I must continue the journey. Stop number 2 is back at Disc Replay in Champaign, Illinois. If you caught my last road trip video, this shop may look familiar. I was just here a month ago. I'm not really expecting to find much since I basically cleaned them out last time, but I'm curious to know how often they get new stock in. Are they even still acquiring new lots of Skylanders? My first pass through the shop didn't result in much. The Skylander shelf looked quite bare, just about how I left it a month ago. But as I took a second to look over the counter at the starter packs, something else caught my eye. There was a box behind the counter with a boatload of Skylanders, and I saw Imaginators. I quickly asked one of the employees if those figures were for sale. He told me that these figures had just come in, and they hadn't made it into the case yet. And there were actually 2 boxes. While I didn't find any Chase variants here, at $2.99 per figure, I did find a lot of stuff to bring home. This is one of the biggest hauls I've ever picked up, piece count-wise, from a used game store. So we got ourselves another Ninjini, standard Magna Charge, 2 of my boy Camo, Series 2 Wrecking Ball, Light Core Star Strike, Series 3 Pop Fizz, got another Light Core Grim Creeper, Sunburn, Dark Spitfire, Bone Bash Roller Brawl, a standard Shield Striker, found a Tomb Buggy, another Gusto, and then the Imaginators. We have 2 Crash Bandicoot, 2 Aurora, 2 Ember, 1 Dr. Neocortex, 1 Tri-Tip, 1 Chopscotch, 1 Taekwon Crow, and 1 Barbella. All in all, we got those 25 figures for just $68.44. That was the most exciting and successful day 1 I've had in a long time. Let's hope that luck continues. I only have 1 major pickup scheduled for this trip, but I do have a lot of hunting planned both on the way there and on the way back, so it's time to get some rest. Day 2. I have less driving today, but there are 6 shops that I plan to visit. I'm really hoping that yesterday's luck continues. I had such good results with the Disc Replay shops in Illinois that I decided to hit 2 more in Indianapolis before I left town. Unfortunately, I was very disappointed. The selection at the South location was pretty weak. They didn't really seem to have prices on most figures. The few that were priced were, well, overpriced, so no thank you. The East location wasn't much better. The figures were in a case and are well arranged, and we got back to the tiered pricing system that I saw in Rockford yesterday, so that was nice. But everything here was super common, so it's time to hit the road and head to Ohio. Ohio is not only home to the big pickup I'm making tomorrow, but it's also the location of The Exchange, a fabled store I've heard about in some of my live streams. The first shop on my list was in Medina. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it doesn't matter because the store was closed. It's not closed permanently, just on Wednesday. Now, I know some small shops and restaurants like to close one day a week to give their employees a break, but I don't usually see it in this type of store, and it's really weird that they close 2 days. So the shop's only open 5 days a week. So before I drove to the other shops, I double checked with Google to make sure that they weren't all closed on Wednesday. Turns out it was just this shop. The other 3 I plan to visit should all be open. I'm not really off to a good start today. 2 duds and 1 closed shop. Let's keep going. On to the exchange, attempt number 2.
Hello.
Wow. I have to say I am very impressed. This is the cleanest, fanciest, most well-lit resale shop I have ever seen. 95% of the merchandise is locked up in glass cases. I'm sure that this helps with theft, but it also keeps things organized and presentable. Much of the merchandise here, though, is at or above market price. They have a great selection, though, and it's very easy to view. Finding the prices can be a little bit tricky, though. Most of the labels are stuck on the bottom of figures, and some of them don't have a price sticker, just this barcode. But here's the trick. If you look at this last section of numbers on the label, it will give you the price. I didn't find any great deals here, but I like to reward shops not only for carrying Skylanders, but in this case, taking very good care of them. So I did pick up 2 creation crystals. I picked up 1 light fanged creation crystal and 1 light rune creation crystal. I'm feeling a little bit better about hitting these last 2 locations, because they should at least have Skylanders in stock. We're just going to have to watch the prices a little bit. On to North Olmsted. This shop has a slightly different layout, but the same glass cases and bright lights. I love it. I almost missed the second case of figures simply because I had my back turned to it originally. Very similar pricing compared to the first shop, but I was able to locate a few deals this time. Found this Double Trouble 1.5 for $5, a Series 2 Spyro for $8, and a Series 2 Drobot for $5. One last location today, on to Parma Heights.
Turn left, then your destination will be on the right.
Once again, I can't state enough how much of a pleasure it is to walk into these shops. They're so well designed. If I ever create a physical store, I may have to take a page out of their book. This location might just have the best selection of Skylanders yet. And even better, they have low prices. I'm still amazed how chain stores like this are allowed to independently price their products, but I'm certainly not complaining right now. If anyone in the Cleveland area is looking for a green Chompy Mage, I left this one for $150 in the case. So they've definitely done some research, but I still found plenty of good deals. Picked up Tomb Buggy, Cobra Cadabra, a Midnight Museum, Mysticat, Dr. Crankcase, a Solar Flare Aurora, and another Rocky Roll. Want to take a guess how much all of this cost me? Those 7 items just cost $38.88. I only got to see 5 out of the 6 stores that I had planned, and there were a few stinkers in there, but overall, it wasn't a bad day. Tomorrow is the big pickup, and I'm meeting up with a friend to do some hunting. Stay tuned. Day 3. I got up bright and early in the morning to meet with Dalton. Thankfully, Dalton had all the Skylanders packed up neatly in a big stack of boxes. So after a quick payment transfer, we loaded the boxes into the car and I was on my way. Now it's just a short 5-hour drive back to Indianapolis to meet up with Lance. Lance is a friend that I met through our mutual love of nerd culture. Our first interaction was back in the days of Light Seekers, if any of you remember that. But now, Lance, much like me, loves hunting at local flea markets and the like. In fact, Lance did some hunting the week before I got here and had a few figures to hand over. But now, we get to do some hunting together. I met up with Lance at the Southside Flea Market. Unfortunately, on the day we went, most of the booths were closed. But there was one large video game booth that was open. They had a large selection of Skylanders, but most of them weren't priced. The guy was looking them up on the spot, and therefore the prices were generally more than I wanted to pay. But after a little bit of haggling, I was able to make a deal. I picked up a Light Core Chill, another Mysticat, Grave Clobber, Tide Pool, and even a Blastertron. After that, Lance and I headed down to another flea market called Emporium 40.
You have arrived.
We didn't have nearly as much luck here. The only Skylanders we found were 9 of these new in-box smash hits. Now, I was just going to pick up one of them because it was cool that I found them. Once again, I like to reward people for carrying Skylanders. But when I found that they were $1.95 each, I bought all 9. After that stop, Lance and I parted ways, and it was time to head to the hotel. Oh, I almost forgot to show you what Lance brought me. He managed to find a Series 2 Spyro, Thump Truck, Shield Striker, a Mini Eye Small, Series 2 Hex, Bop, Hijinks, Head Rush, Series 3 Jetvac, Bushwhack, Series 2 Zap, Legendary Deja Vu, Standard Deja Vu, another camo, Rubble Browser, and he stumbled across another smash hit that wasn't quite in such great shape. He even found this Skylanders Universe book for me. All in all, it was a fun little road trip, and I picked up a lot of great stuff. The lesson here, I'm going to have to start paying attention to all those flea markets that I drive by on my road trips. You never know what you might find.